Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Awakened Life, a spiritual hub for the now age babe. My name is Brianna Rose, and my lovely co host is.
Julia Portela.
And we are so excited to share the space with you all tonight. Me and Julia had a really fantastic, amazing last week. We had a beautiful photo shoot, which I'm sure you saw some of the photos on Julia's Instagram and Facebook, and you can find her at Julia Rose Portela. And we also did our first in real life event, which was a lot of fun. It was all about tapping into our inner goddess, and Julia and I both felt a lot of powerful effects from that. Ooh, what are you showing us?
I'm trying to show you my power word, which
Ooh,
was tenacity. So we made these really cool. Brianna did a lovely meditation, and she took us to go meet our inner goddess, who told us our power word, and mine was tenacity. And we made these really cool seashells that had them on them to remind us of this inner power that we have with our inner goddess. So it was a really cool night.
thank you. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was also cool just to have us, I think, both together in real life. Like, this is always
Yeah.
so fun, obviously, doing a podcast and, being on YouTube, but to have our energies together live in person is a whole nother level.
Yeah, 100%.
It was fun. So stay tuned for the people who are watching, because we're definitely going to do some more events together in the future. And they're not all going to be on Long Island. Wink, wink.
Yeah. Or not at least in the heart of Long Island either. And some of
Yeah.
them definitely not on Long Island.
Yes, they're going to be all over the world. We're going to start here, but we're going to take over.
Slowly but surely. East
Slowly
Coast
but
first.
sure.
There's enough
Maybe
going on
West
the West Coast.
Coast. So tonight is going to be all about filling ourselves back up, because the last episode we cleared you out, we broke you down in a positive way, but we definitely cleared away some fears, anxieties, and just overcame some negative thought processes. And this week's episode is just going to be about filling you back up. So when Julie and I were creating this, we were creating our editorial calendar. We titled this one "Built Me Up Buttercup." So it's going to be all about building you up and making you feel good again, so that you can be in energetic alignment with the life that you want to live.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a powerful night. And there's definitely some full moon energy that's seeping into this. And it's going to make it
You're
even
making us
more.
crazy.
I know. Today was a crazy day. I always know that the full moon is coming, besides, being an astrology nerd. But I always know that it's coming because my students get like out of control. And today was like one of those days where every kid had a meltdown or was just really like not themselves. So I can always tell when the full moon is coming. And now I'm feeling a little tired and I get very full moon sensitive. So
Do you?
yeah,
Aw.
that's, I have a Cancer rising and Cancers are ruled by the moon. So I am very moon sensitive. Definitely moon sensitive.
Really interesting. It's always so crazy, just hearing how astrology affects us, and just even being more cognizant of it has definitely helped my life, in my personal life and in my business life. And also just meeting you and hearing about the different, like the smallness of astrology, not so much like the generalness of astrology, like your horoscope, but hearing about different things like that, like your rising sign, has definitely impacted me and how I view astrology and how I want to bring it into my life.
Yeah, astrology. I know this is like the worst, probably the worst example, but people like Hitler was a famous astrologer and actually used astrology to take power, which, turned out not to be a great thing, but I'm sure that he was like, this is super duper. Look at what the stars are saying right now. I got this shit on lockdown. And a lot of people use astrology, and astrology is really, really important in your day-to-day work. I really feel like it's something that everyone should know about and use, because even last night we were talking about just some weird physical symptoms that we were both having and looking at our charts, and just how the stuff flowing through our charts makes sense with the physical stuff we have going on.
Mm-hmm.
I love that about astrology. It's really cool. There's a lot of really cool details that I think you might miss out on otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Or you just go through blindly. Like you just don't know why you're feeling this way, or maybe why you attracted this person into your life, when in reality your chart can give you so much information.
Yes, especially when you're talking about family relationships too. Family relationships are insane. You usually have something connected with both of your parents. And I've just seen like synchronicity in my chart. You know, my grandpa was a Capricorn, and I have Capricorn in my house of your dad's dad. So there's a house of your mom's mom, you know, just as one of the things, and a house of your dad's dad. And I have Capricorn in my spot for my grandpa on my dad's side. It's so crazy. And there's no coincidences. I mean, you can't make that stuff up. So I love astrology. It's just such beautiful energy. And I'm excited to share with everybody what we have going on, you know, the full moon, but also astrologically, just to teach you guys a little bit more about it, because we're definitely going to go a little bit deeper into Pluto tonight.
Yay! I love Pluto.
Really?
I kind of do, because after you were showing me my chart, I was like, whoa, isn't Pluto Scorpio ruled by Pluto, or Pluto ruled by Scorpio, something like that. And then I don't know, something like that also came up in my chart too when I was reading it. I thought it was interesting.
Huh.
Yeah. Piquing my interest.
What? Piquing your interest?
Yes. So talk to us about Pluto. What's going on with that?
So there's not necessarily anything going on with Pluto right now, although I can look up where it is. But Pluto is, as we were talking about last week, this planet of transformation. And that's really important when you're talking about breaking yourself down, because what's going to be able to fill you back up? And when you're looking at these false perceptions and, you know, sex, death, and rebirth, which is essentially what Pluto rules, what is giving you that rebirth? What's the phoenix in this situation, which is the highest and most evolved Scorpio, which is what I love. Tattoo.
I think that's me.
It is. You're the phoenix.
Thank you.
So Pluto has this really crazy way of exposing your shadow side, but it does this because it wants to purify your energy, and it wants to purify your personality and bring out these really strong parts of you that deserve to be seen. And I love this about Pluto. Pluto is definitely not easy energy. It's definitely tough energy, but it's so worth it to work through this process of transformation wherever that you may have it in your chart. Because if you have it in your first house, it's going to affect you very differently than if you have it in your 8th house. So I recommend looking up your chart or getting your chart done.
Which Julia can do for you too.
Yes, which I can do for you. Because those things are really important when you're looking at where you're going to be having this massive transformation. And where you have Pluto is definitely going to be a really great indication of what needs a transformation in your life. What do you need to transform? What's going on? And I know for me, I actually want to look up and see where I have my Pluto. Like Brianna, you have your Pluto in your 8th house, which is actually so beautiful and natural, because that's the house of transformation. Oh, so you actually have really great energy right there, because it really fits really well for that sex, death, and rebirth. And you happen to have it in Sagittarius, which is all about your belief system. So it's overcoming sort of this, probably what was a religious upbringing and traditional backgrounds, and learning how to accept your spirituality. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
And I happen to have it. I have Pluto, interestingly enough, I have it in my 7th house of relationships. Haha. So not easy energy right there. Sex, death, and rebirth. I mean, maybe for the sex, but you know, is that something professional that I should say on our podcast? You know, but there's definitely this transformational energy and tension energy, and these are places that you really need to work on. And how often do I say, especially on the podcast and to you, you know, in our personal lives, that I work on my relationships like it's, you know, nobody's business. I have a lot of tough relationship energy, and I know it. And I try to own it. It's definitely hard. So you should look up where your Pluto is, because that'll give you some more indication of what needs to be purified in your life, or what's already been purified, and now you're excelling at your gifts because all of this negative energy has been cleared from you, and now you're just sort of a divine channel with pure energy, totally at the top of your game, reborn from your ashes. And that's why I love Pluto, and that's why I thought it fit so well when we were talking about building ourselves back up, tearing ourselves down and building ourselves back up, because you definitely need something that's a strong support system. And as tough as Pluto can be to knock you down, it's definitely right back there to pick you up. So it's just beautiful, beautiful energy. I hope I'm doing it some justice.
I think you are.
Good.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So that's really what's playing on with right now with what's going on with the full moon and bringing that all together, which I think kind of makes sense since the full moon is all about almost a rebirth as well, where the new moon is all about manifesting and then the full moon is about clearing and shedding.
Yeah. And we also have that energy in Capricorn right now. So there's really a heavy focus. Capricorn is definitely the hardest working sign in the zodiac. So that full moon, there's a lot of releasing and shedding of in our business. And I know for me and you personally, that fits really well. There's definitely these old chapters and old things that are sort of falling away. So that also fits really into what's going on right now, because it's really important to keep up with these things. But the full moon is a really good time to release that's which no longer is serving you, but you're not letting something go because there's nothing else there to fill you up. And that's what I think we mean by what we're talking about. The full moon is a really great connection to this energy of rebuilding yourself. Even though the full moon is about letting go, it's letting go in order to make room for something way better. So I think it just really fits astrologically. It all really fits well with what we're trying to accomplish tonight.
Yeah, I agree. And like how we were saying before, this episode's all about filling you back up. So with everything that we're clearing, you don't want to leave yourself like an empty hole or an empty gap. So that's why it's so important to utilize the tools that we're going to give you later, because you don't want to be left just feeling like crap. Like it's like you release everything, but now it's like, now what? There's nothing there to fill you back up. And you want to make sure that those holes within your soul or your energy are filled up with good stuff, that it doesn't get refilled back up with things that don't make you feel good, like anxiety or fear or worry, because that can happen too, because now you're just this open wound and it can attract anything in. So tonight's going to be really powerful so that you can learn how to put the pieces back in that you really want. And allow those to manifest, allow those to grow and to be nurtured, and so that with over the course of the next few months, that everything can really come into full bloom.
Yeah, I just got a chill. Did you see it?
No.
I got a chill as you were talking, so I'll be interested to go back and see exactly what it was that you said as I got my chill. But cool. But as per usual, we're going through the motions. Everything that we're talking about is stuff that we've had experience with in the past, but that we're still going through now. And I think that's what makes our journey so interesting. We've already definitely spiritually accomplished so much, but we're still consistently going through the motions over and over again and going deeper each time. And so no matter where you are in your journey, just know we're still on it too, because as you said that, I totally got a chill. And to me, when I get something like that, I'm releasing something, and that's a message directly from spirit. Mm-hmm. That as we're talking about releasing and I release, they're like, well, don't fill that shit back up with negative stuff. Like, pay attention to what she's saying.
Definitely. And it's so interesting how that happens, how we can always get signs like that. It's just if we're open to them or even aware of them. Yeah. And I think for everyone that's even listening and that will be listening to this, it's been pretty heavy lately. The energy's been heavy. And I know we did the clearing 2 weeks ago, but it's still like we're going through murky waters. And I know that we were talking about this last night when we were just chit-chatting on the phone, but there's a lot of energy that's happening. And although it's going to become something so beautiful for each one of us, just going through those motions, it's like we're just clearing away and clearing away and clearing away. And you just have to find that sliver of light to hold on to and to pull you up. And so many times, again, my printer just went on. So many times where we get so caught up in the negativity, we get so caught up in, why do I feel this way? Why am I not feeling good? Why am I so tired? That's a big thing that I keep hearing from everyone, is that they're so tired. All of my clients, I'm tired, I'm tired, I'm tired. And it could be being physically tired. It could be that you're just tired of where your business is at, and that's okay, and that's perfectly fine that you're there. But I think that that's even going to help you bring up something that's so much better than where you're at right now. And then again, it's hard to see that, but tonight it's going to radically change, almost like your chemical makeup, because right now we're going through all this darkness, and it's just so we can find the light. And whenever we're going through anything that holds darkness, it's to remind us of how beautiful and how pure the light is. Because when things are always good consistently 24/7, it's like you don't realize how good you have it. So the darkness reminds you of how good it is to feel that way. So if I can leave you with anything tonight, it's to find that sliver of light, hold on to it, and allow that to guide you out of it.
I love that you just mentioned being tired, because whether it's stagnant energy that you're feeling, there might be different reasons too why you're feeling things. And of course I can get into it astrologically, but physical tired is most likely coming from this ascension energy, and the ascension energy is really, really heavy right now, which is something else. I know we were specifically like talking about this last night. You know, I tied my dress into a knot, my maxi dress into a knot, and now I'm like, I can't move it the right way to sit. So the ascension energy is definitely really, really heavy right now, and we're approaching 1 year, where come August 8th of this year, we'll have been going through the ascension process for a year now. That's a really long time to be absorbing these light energies and these frequencies and getting all of these downloads that we've been getting, because it's definitely coming in really, really strong right now as we approach the 1 year mark. And that's causing a lot of physical tiredness. Yeah. But there is definitely a lot of stagnation and just a feeling of, at least for me, this is how I felt for a couple months. Like, I'm on the precipice of something so amazing, and it feels like it's going to be tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes. And I know that sounds, really, I don't want to say sad or pathetic, but it just feels like sometimes you get caught up in this mindset of like, I'm working so hard, and what's coming of it, and what's coming of all of this hard work that I'm doing on relationships, and what's coming on all of this hard work that I'm doing here or doing there, and in all these different areas of your life. And all I think that's important to remember is to keep going, because that precipice is coming. That the corner is almost there. And this is coming up astrologically too. Stuff is starting to shift and things are starting to move forward. So don't give up just yet. Don't give up before a miracle occurs.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. Don't give up before a miracle occurs. I think that that's a powerful statement. It's because it's just having that blind faith and knowing that you're working hard. And even though sometimes it feels like it's never enough, and I know I say this a lot too, like, constantly doing all this self-help work or doing all this personal healing, and then you're still not there yet, but it's coming. And it's a little open-ended, but it's just holding on to that light, holding on to that dream, holding on to that vision, and knowing that it's going to come to creation so soon.
Yeah.
So soon.
And just keep feeling that excitement. I know something that me and you were talking about the other day was, and we're in our careers, at least we're in very different spots in our careers. And I said to you, I'm in this spot in my life where just with everything, like, I may not be the busiest I'll ever be in my career, and I'm trying to appreciate the fact that I'm slow right now, or the fact that I'm not, booked and swamped and running from place to place and exerting all my energy here. And I'm not going to live at home forever, and I'm trying to be grateful that I have an opportunity to tuck my sisters into sleep, and that I get to play with them at night before bed, and just trying to appreciate gratitude is everything, and just trying to remember that even though I want things to be different and, I want to move out, and that's something that's so positive, but there is a positive aspect to living at home and living with my sisters, that I love and that I enjoy, and just trying to focus on that instead of constantly dismissing the things that I don't like about living at home and wanting my own space, and, being ready to move out, being a Gemini, being very independent and needing that freedom, and trying to really balance those ideas and those concepts of, like, yeah, I'm a Gemini and I want my business to be super busy, but once it's busy, then it's busy and there's no stopping. So appreciate the fact that you have downtime now, because it might not be that way in a month or definitely a year. It's appreciating where things are right now, for the gifts of what it is, even though it's not your ideal situation. And I think that's really important too when you're talking about building yourself back up, because you need something positive to focus on.
Definitely. And I think that's important that you brought up gratitude, because gratitude will elevate your energy. And I know that I see this a lot during my moonlight meditation classes, is even be grateful for the things that you hate, right? Or the things that you wish didn't happen to you, because there was a learning experience in that. And by being grateful for that negative experience, you can totally switch your mindset on it. And by holding on to that negativity, by holding on to that fear, you're actually lowering your vibration. So in order to build yourself back up, I'm grateful that that happened to me. I'm grateful that, that client fired me. I'm grateful that I didn't land that job, because I always see that they're almost like universal reroutes. So it's just the universe putting you in a new direction for something greater than you could have ever even imagined. And once you're able to kind of get your mind around that, wrap your mind around that, it makes the whole healing process a lot easier.
Yeah, I always say this. I'm going to get a little real and raw right now. So, I'm excited and nervous, but when I was younger, I was molested, and that's a lifetime challenge that most people go through. And I always say the thing that really helped me survive that was I had a younger sister and I didn't want it to happen to her. And so I spoke up. And not only did I really always think about this, the gifts that I got out of it. Not only did I prove my sense of justice, but it gave me not just a sense of justice, but I have always been a fighter for the underdog. And it came, I think, from this scenario, because I was the underdog and I was fighting for myself. And my sister, who was, a baby at the time, was an underdog, and I was fighting for rights that she didn't even know could be taken away from her, or things like that. And so not only was it giving me a platform to speak my voice, which is so important to my business now, but it was giving me a platform to find a sense of justice. And on top of that, it gave me forgiveness skills that I would have never, ever been able to deal with otherwise. And it gave me this moral compass for kids. I'm so connected to kids. It's what I do. I work, not only do I live with two kids, my two younger sisters are young little girls, but I work with middle school kids, and they're young. They're just moving up from elementary school, and they're still very innocent and very childlike, and they're not really totally in that adult mindset yet. Not that you really are when you move into high school anyway, but and not that I am now at 24, but but I think about that stuff all the time. And when I think about how much I actually got out of it versus, the small amount of time that was really traumatic and suffering and bad, you really, when you focus on those things, your outcome in life just is so much different. And it's not even something that impacts my life negatively. It's always just a gift. And it's really hard to explain that to people, that being molested was a gift, because it doesn't seem like it would be, but it totally was.
It made you who you are today, and you're a beautiful human being. So,
oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
My lights just flickered.
Oh, I love that.
They were like, heck yeah.
Yeah, you're awesome. No, that was beautiful that you shared that, because it although it is raw, it's your authentic truth. And I'm sure that there's people listening that maybe were in a similar situation to you, and they're still learning that the gift in it, because it's not an easy thing to find, and it could take your entire lifetime to get to that point.
Yeah. It's definitely important to focus on the gifts and what are you getting out of something and what are you learning?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that's really how you fill yourself back up, because you could easily continue to deplete yourself. But when you can focus on the gratitude or the gifts or what it's really taught you and how it's propelled you into the person that you are today, it just helps you to elevate your entire life.
Yeah, and I'm going to say something right now that I feel like a lot of spiritualists get a little funky with, but I feel like a lot of spiritualists are out there saying it's all love and light, and not that it's not love and light. I know me and Brianna are so like not against that, but it's very
We're
fruit
not
fruit.
spiritualists, but we kind of are. Like, we're spiritual, but we're not like the conventional spiritualists.
Yeah, definitely unconventional. And what I don't like about that is, what I don't like about that is it's not all love and light. If it was all love and light, our souls would have never chose to come and leave the angelic realm. They just wouldn't, because you know what? The angelic realm really does vibrate in love and light. That's all it is.
Yep.
But we came here to learn and to evolve and to grow.
To learn emotions.
I don't necessarily think that you have to do that through turmoil or through all of this tumultuous energy. I think that that's a part of it, and I think that that's a reason why we grow. And you want to look at these, whatever moments that you're having, you look at your life, right? And there are moments that are just impactful that you just remember, and they might be big moments in the scheme of life, like having something traumatic go on, or it could be something really positive, like the birth of a child, or it could be something really small that you just happen to remember. And we all have moments like that too, just like these small moments that should seem insignificant and they're just not, and you just remember them and you're sentimental about them. And I think that's what's so great about looking at your life. You want to look at those moments, those pinpoint moments, and just say, what was I learning? And why does this stick with me? And if you can't come up with a lesson from that, then you need to think deeper. And that's the honest truth, because there's a lot that we have to learn. And we came here to learn, and we came here to evolve and to grow. And we are doing that through positive and negative experiences. So it doesn't matter how you're filling yourself up. It's all a matter of really going deep about these, moment to moment moments and really exploring them and dissecting them and seeing what the journey is and where you've come from. And I think that's what filling yourself up is all about. That's where you're really going to get in touch with your gratitude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Beautifully said.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And just speaking about filling yourself up, I think that when we talk about our chakras, it's always your heart center, because your heart center is the ruler of that. That's where you purge and release a lot of emotions, and it's also where you receive a lot of emotions as well. And I always like to think of almost like there's a little door in your heart center that can open and close, and you could either let it pour out or you could let it pour in. And so many times it's a lot easier for us to pour it out, but it's harder for us to let it fill back in or to receive compliments or to do things for ourselves. And it's normal, but we always have to remember that this is our home, this is our foundation, and if we can't take care of ourselves or fill ourselves back up, how can we do anyone else justice? How can we really be the best, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, daughter, whatever it is, mother? You can't, because you're running at this low level and you're not taking the time to make yourself feel good first. So tonight we're going to be really focusing on the heart chakra, because that is really the ruler between your mind, your body, and your soul and yourself, and that energetic charge to make yourself feel better, to make yourself feel worthy, to make yourself feel loved. And I think that that's a really important part, is feeling loved. So many times we exert out all of this love to our pets, to our loved ones, to our family members, and then we look in the mirror and we don't like what we see.
Mm.
So there's such a huge disconnect, and it's, I mean, we've all been through that. I'm sure Julia has too, where it's like you look in the mirror and you're like, oh, is that me? Is that really me? And we've all had those moments, and it's okay, but it's learning to love yourself and take care of yourself and honor your truth and honor the things that maybe aren't perfect about yourself, because who is perfect? There's no definition of perfect, but it's honoring your uniqueness and really building upon that. And I think that comes into play too, even just with your business, is not being the stereotypical person in your field. It's doing the stuff that really makes you quirky. And that's how people connect to you, because if you're so perfect all the time, that's so unrelatable. Who can relate to someone's perfect? We can't, because no one is. And the more authentic, the more weird or funny you are, that's going to make people love you and connect with you, because that's who they are too. You're awakening something within them. So as you begin to honor your truth, as you begin to fill yourself back up again, you're going to uplift everyone else around you. So you don't feel like you have to constantly take care of everyone else. Once you take care of yourself, your energy, your vibration will uplift them, and it will awaken something within them too, to begin to take care of themselves as well.
Yeah, I want to piggyback off of that and say, my mom was for many years a meeting planner in a travel agency, and my dad is or was a pilot and works with airplanes. And so I grew up traveling all over the world and was really comfortable on a plane. I remember the first time I flew with my younger sisters, right? And I listened to something that I had heard 1,001 times at this point, which was, during the safety spiel, they say, listen, when your air mask comes down, you put your air mask on first before you help the person next to you. Mm-hmm. And I remember in that moment, we were flying down to Disney, and I remember thinking, that's a load of crap. My 2-year-old sister is sitting next to me, and let me tell you, if this plane is going down, that air mask is going on her first. Because that's really how you feel, right? Mm-hmm. Not that I've lived my whole life, but there's a really big difference between 2 and 20. And, wherever I was at the time. And I remember a year later, we were going down to Disney again, and I had done so much self-work that I said, wow, if I put the air mask on me first, then I'm more used to her. Because what if I don't get it on her and I haven't put mine on and I pass out? Mm-hmm. What good am I? How am I doing anything better for her by being knocked out and not taking care of myself? And that seems like a really dramatic and larger than life explanation, but it's the truth. Mm-hmm. You're no good. You're no good. And that gas mask that you would be putting on them is no good if you're knocked out in the seat next to you. Mm-hmm. and unable to help. And the only way that you can spread your light and that you can do your work and come here, and we're all light workers. It doesn't matter in what field you do it or the platform that you choose to perform in. We're all doing service. We're all performing service. Mm-hmm. And no matter how you're performing it, it's really a matter of taking really good care of yourself and filling yourself up and loving yourself. And that's why building yourself up, and that's why this episode is so important, and understanding that the transformations that you're making now are really radical, and they're really going to help shift the way that you serve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. I think that's important, that you don't have to be necessarily a light worker in the sense of being a healer or a psychic, medium, whatever it might be. You can be a light worker as a lawyer. You can be a light worker as a hairdresser, but it's really all about honoring your truth and making yourself feel good, and not trying to conform into where you think you should be, where your parents want you to be. It's just where you physically need to be, and taking care of yourself. And it doesn't have to be an outward thing where you have to constantly buy yourself new clothes, which is great, or going and getting new makeup, or going and getting a massage. Like that, all that stuff is amazing for self-care. But I think it's also about feeling good in your skin, and maybe try to do a daily affirmation saying, I love myself, or even just looking in the mirror and saying that you love yourself. And you can't fully let someone else love you if you don't love yourself as well. You have to have that solid foundation, and that solid foundation will carry into all of your personal life, and your business life, your career life. Because if you don't have this solid foundation of love surrounding yourself, you're going to let people treat you in ways that isn't appropriate. There's going to be people that test your boundaries, and you really have to make sure that your home, yourself, is in such a solid place so that you don't get walked all over, so that people don't speak to you in a negative way, or even just knowing when to walk away from friendships or relationships because it doesn't feel good. So it's really about honoring yourself and knowing what to accept and what not to accept. And I think that that's an important piece of what we're trying to get at tonight, is really not only honoring your truth, but knowing your limitations and knowing what you deserve, knowing your self-worth. And that all comes back to your heart center, because we always tend to give out more than what we're willing to receive.
I love that.
Thank you.
The heart center is so powerful, isn't it?
It's crazy. Like when I like, even just now, like thinking about it or like moving my energy there, like it feels like it's like this vibrational rock, but not in the rock and like it's so heavy, but it's just like this huge,
like the cinder block.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Like the cinder block that I pulled out at your meditation. I always see weird stuff in my heart chakra when Brianna does meditations. One time I saw a cinder block. They were pulling a cinder block out of a wishing well. And another time I saw this scene from Sherlock where he's like breaking glass with the fire extinguisher. It's just like crazy, crazy stuff that I get from my heart chakra. And every time I come out of the meditation, I'm like, well, what does that mean? But the heart center is so powerful. And I mean, just like you said, bringing your awareness into that space in your chest, it's just, once you bring your energy down there, you'll know where you are. You'll know if it feels good or if it doesn't feel good. And you'll know if you're strong there or you're not strong there. And I know for me, the last time that I tested my energy, like physically, tested my energy with another person and had them test it, my heart was really strong. And I was like, wow, that's how you know I've done a lot of work. Because when I started a couple of years ago doing this work, I did not love myself and I did not take care of myself. And I don't know if I'm all there yet, but I've definitely spent enough time and energy on myself to know that I'm worth more than what I was treating myself beforehand. And once you start making that journey, it's so amazing. And it's so amazing how your relationships and people and situations and your outcomes and just the way that you view life, it just becomes so different and so positive.
Yeah, I agree. Totally, your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. And even just like looking back on your growth, like how you're saying, it's like you look back on it and it's like, whoa, I've come really far. Like I really like where I'm at, and I know that I'm going to continue on this path, and I can't wait to look back again a year from now and see how much more growth that I've had.
Yeah, I think that's the best part.
I agree, definitely. The meditation that I want to work with everyone on tonight is similar in the sense it's called light sourcing, and I know, Julia, you've done it with me, but it's all about connecting to the source, which is God, the universe, whatever it is that you want to call that presence of something greater than yourself, tapping into that energy to fill yourself back up again. And it's going to be really powerful. And again, it's all about connecting in with your heart center. But before we get into it, I know, Julia, you have a great essential oil that I think that would work great with the meditation tonight, and even just overall in general, just with being able to project the future.
Yeah. So the oil that we picked for tonight is Envision. I don't know if you can see it. So a little weird, but Envision is one of my favorite oils. It's definitely, I know I say that about every oil. Every oil is my favorite. I love them all. There are people out there like playing Pokemon. They're like, gotta catch them all. And I'm like, that's how I feel about essential oils. I need them all. Right now.
I'm just gonna say it right now.
Envision is so great, because the color of the bottle, which is something that I always use, is purple. So it works really well with your third eye and your crown chakra to help you really connect to spirit and get you in that energy of seeing what you want in order to manifest it. But also just, I think aromatically it's very potent, but I enjoy the smell of it. And I always like essential oils that have a stronger smell, because when I'm diffusing them, then I remember, oh, hey, I'm diffusing this, it's envisioned, and I'm supposed to be manifesting right now. And it always kind of just draws me back into that moment to sit down and focus for just a couple seconds on what I'm looking for. And this oil is so powerful. I've never used this oil and meditated and did not almost instantaneously get what I want. I mean, this, I don't know why it works. It just does. It just really starts to shift stuff in the universe, in the energy, and in the vibrational shifts that we're trying to put out there. And I think this oil is really, really perfect when it comes to building yourself back up, because it's going to help you, A, envision what you really want for your life, but B, then start attracting that stuff towards you. So it's definitely a powerful oil.
It's one of my favorites, and I always put it on my third eye. That's just like where I've never put it anywhere else. I just always rub it all over my third eye, and I definitely think it helps to awaken that space so that you can just see forward, because a lot of times that's our biggest block with building ourselves back up, is that we can't see the future, or we're almost afraid to see it. So I think that this helps to release that block of sight so that we can really tap into that presence, that there is something greater for us, or seeing something, because a lot of times like we can't see it because we automatically think something negative might happen, or there's inner blockage that we have. And I think that that oil helps you to just break through that barrier and give you an alternate route.
100%.
Definitely. Did you put it on?
Yeah, I did, on my third eye and a little bit on my chest.
Ooh. Oh, I was feeling that too. I was going like this.
What?
I was going like this too. I felt like it needed to be on your chest.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, I put a little bit on my chest. I like keeping the oils on my chest if I'm using something to meditate. Because I don't know why, but aromatically it just hits my nose faster, just the way that my chest aligns. So cinnamons have that. So I like keeping them on my chest because I smell it and then it reminds me what I'm supposed to be doing.
Beautiful. Good reminder. So those of you at home, if you have Envision, feel free to put it on. If you don't and you'd like to learn more about it, shoot Julia an email at juliaroseportela@gmail.com, and she will definitely connect you with the oil or tell you more about it. But we're going to get started with our meditation. I'm so excited. Woohoo! This is probably one of my favorite meditation techniques. It's something that I think that I was already doing naturally, but then I found out about Rebecca Campbell, and it was like her freebie on her website. And I was like, this is amazing. It's just more formulated compared to what I was already guided to do from Spirit, but it's absolutely amazing. And I highly suggest that everyone do this every single day of their lives, because we go out into the harshness of the world and we give out so much. And by using this meditation, you can just bring it back home. So get seated in a comfortable position, or lie down, because I'm so big on lying down, although I can't do it right now. And have your palms facing upwards like this. It puts you into receiving mode, but like rested on your lap. And then focus your eyes inwards and upwards, and that activates your third eye, exactly where we had just guided you to put the oil. And just begin to settle into your breath, breathing in and out. In and out. And begin to bring your awareness to your heart center. And just notice how it feels here. Notice any heaviness. Notice how expansive the center might feel. Or you might even feel it being blocked. Again, no judgment. Just take note of what's going on and how you're feeling. Now I want you to envision a beautiful rose in the center of your heart. And with each breath, feel that rose expanding and swirling in a clockwise motion. Watch as that rose begins to bloom. And notice how beautiful it becomes. Feel the presence of this rose begin to expand. And simultaneously, feel that heart center begin to crack open. At the center of the rose, envision a wooden door that connects to your heart center. And with your next breath, feel that door bust open. And begin to take note of what comes out, what color pours out. If there is a color, it could be a symbol, a feeling. Just begin to take note of what's going on here. Now we're going to make a connection with Source, the divine, the universe, and God. We're just going to set our intention to make that connection. It's as easy as that. And you're going to begin to feel a string of light connecting from up above down into your heart center. And with that connection, feel yourself sit up a little bit straighter, shoulders rolling back, chest out, heart center open. And feel the purity of the light that begins to pour in. Feel the vibration of oneness that is entering into your soul, that is entering into your energetic body, that is entering into your physical body. Feel that light pour in and make you whole once again, filling you up down from your feet to your ankles, knees, hips, stomach, chest, shoulders, arms, and hands, moving up to the throat, into your head, reaching your third eye, your ears, clearing out those ear chakras, going up through your spine, and resting at the top of your crown. Feel this energy vibrating back and forth, swishing around your body, clearing out what no longer serves you and filling you back up. This is the charge of life. Allow it to take you back home, feeling the presence of love that surrounds you and that is within you. Let it move you. Let it work through you. Let it sit with you. We say a silent prayer. We thank the universe, Source, the divine, God, for allowing us to connect with them. for making this moment possible, for healing us, and for always being there whenever we need them. As that beam of light begins to retract back up into the sky, know that it is always there. You can always tap back into this moment. You can always fill yourself back up. Close that wooden door in your heart center. Now bring your awareness back here and notice how differently you feel. Notice what changes have been made internally and externally. Take a deep breath in, feeling in your stomach, your chest, and your throat, and pushing it out. And bring your awareness back to the room. Begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Oh, that felt so good. That was like, normally I don't go on the meditation trip with you guys, but that was really powerful. I hope that you all enjoyed it.
I have to grab myself. Just give me a second.
Yeah, I kind of feel like we all should ground ourselves. So everyone, just sit where you are and put your feet on the ground and just envision white light coming up from the ground, running up through your feet, up through your legs, your knees, your hips, up through your crown, and then push it back down into the earth. And then do this one more time, bringing in that light all the way up from the ground, up through your body, up to the crown. And then push it back down again. We're going to do this 3 times. This is our last time. Again, bringing in that white light up through the ground, up through your feet, up over your legs, up through your hips, stomach, chest, throat, head, and down. So that's just a quick grounding exercise that you can use wherever you are, whenever you're feeling anxious or you just feel a little bit off kilter. Just bringing white light up through your feet, up through the ground, up through your feet. It'll always bring you back home and centered. How are you feeling?
Really good. Good. I got a lot of really cool ideas.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to take some action on those because I was definitely filled up with a lot of creative ideas.
Woo-hoo, that's awesome. So I'm just gonna put this out there because I don't know if you felt it, but I have really no connection to him. Oh shoot, hold on, I have to think of his name. Who's the pop artist that recently just passed away?
Prince?
Nope, the other one. It wasn't pop. He like radically changed like the music industry. They passed around like right by each other.
Prince.
He had Metatron's cube on his. He's like older. He has Metatron's cube on his album, one of his album covers. Can't think of his name.
Oh, David Bowie?
Yes, I felt his presence here.
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah, but I don't really have a connection.
I don't know. You might want to look it up because that was kind of like me with Michael Jackson. And meanwhile, I heard 2 Michael Jackson songs today, and I saw the picture of him yesterday with you. So he's obviously stepping back in really heavy for me.
That's crazy.
But it's interesting. But me and you are both very connected to music. I'm not surprised that he came to you. David Bowie, to me, was definitely a light worker.
Mm-hmm. Oh, totally. But I'm just interested. Like, it was just interesting to feel his presence, and I'm wondering if anyone that's listening, felt him too. Feel free to shoot us an email because it's just always cool to discuss these things with other people and to get their feelings on it.
Interesting.
Yeah, super, really cool. But I felt like that was a really powerful meditation. So always feel free to reach back to this. You could just go back to that portion of the meditation, but that's definitely a powerful one to fill yourself back up whenever you're feeling like crap. Do it every single day. Recharge your batteries. That's the vision that I kept getting when I was doing it, was that this was like the gas pump of white light that you could always just pull down from the sky and insert into that heart center and pump it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that was really cool. So thank you guys for sharing the space with me. That was powerful.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, very cool. I know, Julia, you wanted to touch upon some realm work with filling yourself back up, which I'm excited to hear about.
Yeah, so I'm going to try and keep it in my pants because we're talking about one of my favorite actors today.
Captain Hook.
Yes. Oh my God, he is smoking hot.
It's just weird because like I think of Captain Hook from like when we were children. Like I don't know the.
I know.
That's why I was like this weird like old man image. I'm like, ew.
They have some really funny dialogue in the. They don't do it often in Once Upon a Time, but they do every once in a while have like some witty banter about what goes on in the real world versus the actual people that they are. And it's funny because Captain Hook at one point is like, so I bet the guy in the movie is like pretty cute, right? And the lead girl is like, yeah, if you think a perm is cute. And like, Captain Hook in the show is like 300 years old, even though he's like smoking hot and looks like he's 25. And he's like, well, what's a perm? Like, he has no idea. It's really, really funny because I kind of think of Captain Hook that way too. But what I love about Once Upon a Time, which is really, I'm connected a lot to traditional fairy tales because I think traditional fairy tales are amazing. I think there's a lot to be learned from them, and I believe that those realms exist. What I love about Once Upon a Time is that it challenges those traditional fairy tales, and it says, well, why do we have to tell the story this way? And actually, one of the lines from the show is, from Jack and the Beanstalk, and it's told from the giant's perspective. And somebody says, well, that's not how it went down. We heard that the giants did this, that, and the other thing. And he says, well, that's because the victors are telling the story. And I love that Once Upon a Time does this. It takes this really non-traditional spin, and I'm a non-traditional spiritualist. It takes this really non-traditional spin on fairy tales. And so in the show, Captain Hook is a hero, actually. And he wasn't always, but he was definitely always somebody that had a moral compass and that really followed it and stuck to his code. And that's something that we were saying last time, with Jack Sparrow is pirates stick to their own code and they have this freedom and they're able to sail and do what they want and go where they please. And there's something really beautiful in that. And we were talking about, last week about breaking yourself down, and this week we're talking about building yourself up. And I want to talk about this transition that Captain Hook in Once Upon a Time that he's had, because he came into the show and I was so excited, man. When he came into the show, I was like, yes, a villain that I'm gonna love. I was like so excited for Captain Hook because I love Peter Pan. It's my favorite Disney movie. And he turns out to be this guy that's not what he seems, right? He's not willing to play for the bad guys because they're bad and because he's considered a villain. He's playing for the bad guys because he doesn't feel like he has another option. And he ends up meeting Emma, who is the heroine of the show, and she shows him that he has other options, that he could play for the good guys. And he ends up falling in love with Emma, which is like spoiler alert, but they've been together for a couple seasons now, and they're my favorite TV couple. And Captain Hook, in his relationship with Emma, really changes his ways, and he really becomes a villain of the show, and transitions from a villain to the show to a hero from the show, and somebody that is a core hero that they really depend on, and that on a week-to-week basis is coming in and saving the day and doing something really heroic. And I love that about this show. And I love that they took, and it's not just Captain Hook on the show, because the Evil Queen, in season 1, we're learning the story about Snow White and the Evil Queen and what their showdown was. And now we're in the 6th season, and the Evil Queen is one of the heroines as well, and she's one of the biggest and most important characters, and possesses some of the most powerful light magic that we've seen in the show. And that's what I love about the show. But in particular, that they take this really cool villain like Captain Hook, this sort of menacing, horrific kind of villain that really gave me like the heebie-jeebies when I was a little kid. And they make him somebody that you really adore and that you root for. And we all have the potential to, and I love that about the realm of pirates, because I really feel like pirates are people that are tagged as bad people, but really have these strong moral codes, and they're so cool. I was totally a pirate. But I love that about the show, and I love that about, as a metaphor for our own personal lives, is sometimes we look at ourselves as the villain, or as the, however you're looking at yourself in the story. You might not be looking at yourself in the most positive light. We might be looking at ourselves like the villain, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean every aspect of your life, but it might mean in one aspect you really don't like this part of yourself, and getting really, really comfortable with that. And Captain Hook, yeah, he's done a lot of really bad things, but he's also done a lot of really good things. And he's used the skills from being a pirate and from being at times a dirty pirate. He's used those skills to then promote something really, really good. And it gives the show a little bit of mystery, because you're wondering if what he's doing is genuine or disingenuous. But in our own lives, we kind of have the same dialogue going on. What are my motives? And you might not be saying it in this dialect or in this, in this words, but what are my motives, and why am I doing this, and what am I getting out of this? And sometimes we're talking from the ego, which might be the villain part of ourselves, but there is also the sort of hero, the storybook hero, that is able to shine through. And I think that's what's so great about the metaphor of fairy tales, is you don't have to be one or the other. And particularly in Once Upon a Time, you can be both. And a lot of times they say in the show, the traditional thing that we know is that villains don't get their happy endings. And in this show, they do. And not as a villain, though, as this person that's sort of transformed from a villain to a hero, and what that journey looks like. And I think there's something so phenomenal about that, because I think that there's things that we wake up every day and we really struggle with and wrestle with ourselves in our own personal lives. And how do we overcome that? And when we do, how do you accept that you were this person, but now you are this other person, and sort of coinciding the differences between the two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good topic that you bring up, is the villain not having a happy ending, where a lot of times we paint ourselves to be a villain, or we hate on ourselves for things that happen in our lives when we can't change it. Doesn't mean that we're a bad person. We're just doing the best that we could. But I think that's a lot of I do it to myself. When something goes wrong, I always think it's me first, that I caused it to happen,
Mm-hmm.
or something that I could have done to make it better. And we put ourselves in that villain mode of like, oh, I should have done this, or this and this and this, and then this wouldn't have happened. But it's just putting yourself, like, rewriting yourself and saying, like, I did the best that I could, and that doesn't mean that I'm an asshole. It's just recognizing that it's growth, and just do it again.
Exactly. There's something really powerful in accepting that you can have days where you're both, and just understanding that you might wake up one day and feel really shitty about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you change that mindset? And how do you cope with the really good things that you've done? And sometimes it takes another person to remind you, which I know I have those kind of planters in my life. But sometimes it's just accepting that you are the villain and the hero of your own story,
Mm-hmm.
and that you get in your own way, but you can also save yourself. And when you accept that you're both,
I love that.
Yeah, when you start to accept that you're both, and that you have the power to you have the same amount of power that it takes to save your own day is the same amount of power that it takes to ruin it.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're waking up every day deciding, in this story that we call life, if we're being metaphorical, you have the choice on whether you're the villain or the hero of your story. And you have a choice on a moment-to-moment basis. It's not just a day-to-day basis or an overall theme of your life. It's something that is a consistent choice. And if you feel like you're starting to be the villain of your story, just know that it's you, and you're attracting external circumstances to feed into that energy that it is you. And so you're just going to keep attracting things that make you feel crappy or that make you feel like you can't get out of your situation, when in reality, you're standing in your own way. Just move.
Well, I like that. You are not a tree.
Yeah. You're not. Like, why do we have to plant ourselves?
Exactly.
It really is. And I know for me, I'm such a perfectionist that if something's not going my way, I really do feel kind of planted in my own.
That's your ego. Your ego.
It is. It's totally my ego. And when you start to witness your ego and what's going on with yourself, it gives you a lot of power. And I think that that's why these characters on the show have been able to make that transformation from, quote unquote villain to hero. And people that have like a lot of charm and a lot of potential, and being able to see and recognize that potential in yourself, not just to be able to recognize it in other people, because that's important, or to have other people recognize it in you, but for you to recognize it in you. And that's really why these characters in the show have been able to become heroes, is because they accept that they were not always the best person, and they accept their motives for why they did things, and they get over it. And then they say, I can be a better person than that. And I want to work harder to be a better person, because now I have something else that I care about. And it's different than, these negative motives that were originally motivating me. Now I have something positive that's motivating me, and it's being able to make that shift, and finding something that's worth it for you to make that shift.
Definitely. Yeah, I totally agree. I also think it kind of relates back to what we were discussing earlier, is about how the darkness reminds you of your light. Like, you can turn back and face the light. Nothing's holding you down. And you are the creator of your own life. We all have the magic wand, so you don't have to be stuck into this villain mode or making you feel like, like you're a bad person, when in reality it's like we all do things that we aren't always proud of, but it's just how we move forward and how we grow from them is really what determines your happiness and how others perceive you. But it's not so important how others perceive you, it's how you perceive yourself. And we're our harshest critics. Most of the time when you're feeling crappy about yourself, like how Julia was saying, you need those people in your life that will remind you, like, no, everything's good. Like, don't beat yourself up. You can continue to move forward. And I think that's the connection to the pirates too, is that pirates almost like they didn't give a F, like they just they just went. They just were like, this is what I want to do. I want to go here, and I'm going to do this and this and this. And we don't have to be as harsh about that, but I think it's about knowing what we want and going forward with it, and kind of not having those blinders any longer, and letting ourselves be guided intuitively, and also just letting our hearts do the work for us.
Right. And another thing I love about pirates, which I think is like so cool, and I really identify with this, is
the hook.
Definitely the hook. I would look sexy with no left hand.
You like how I had to go like this?
That's the hook. No, beyond the hooks, which I think are cool, and the leather, which I also think is cool, and the extreme eyeliner, which I would rock, is I really think that pirates knew the risk. I think that there's something really badass about knowing the risks of what you're about to do, or I don't even want to say risks, but the consequences of what you're going to do, right? There's a consequence to being a pirate. If you're found, you're probably going to be hanged. So, I mean, how many stories do you hear about that? And maybe not a lot, but that's definitely like in my world, I hear these stories. But like we're living in like 1800. I got a telegram today, and 2 pirates that I knew were hanged. But it's true. They knew the consequences of what they were doing, and they did it anyway. And there's something so empowering about that. And when you turn it inward, right? When you turn that light inward, right? What are the consequences of self-love and learning to fill yourself up and doing it for yourself and recharging your own batteries? wow, is that not the most powerful freedom that you can get? I mean, there are consequences, but they're powerful consequences, and they're life altering, perspective changing consequences. And I don't even know if consequence is the right word, but it's just so powerful and so freeing. And that's like what I love about this pirate energy.
I agree. I think it's really beautiful. And I think that we all need to adopt those qualities more into our lives and be more fearless.
That's one of my words.
What do you say?
That's one of my words.
Ooh, fearless. I think that we all need to incorporate that into our lives because even as young children, we had no fear. And it's just as we grow up is where we adopt these qualities that aren't so great, where we just don't want to push ourselves or we get trapped into the negative thinking or, we base our future off of our past when in reality, again, you're the creator of your own life. And once you're in the flow with who you are and who you're meant to be, the doors will just open. You don't have to worry about something not working out. It just will. And it doesn't necessarily work out. It's because something greater is coming for you.
100%.
Definitely. Really beautiful.
I love that.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, so I think that this episode is really powerful, and I think it's powerful on its own, but I think it's powerful to both Julia and I because it's something that we're both working on.
Yeah.
And going through. And one of my mentors always says is to teach is to learn. So as we're going through all this stuff, we're going to be teaching it to you because who better to speak about it than us because we're living through it. This is what we're going through. This is how we're feeling, being completely raw and authentic. And you guys get to listen and learn some tips and tricks. And I don't know, come along with us because I'm sure if you're tuning in, you're probably feeling the same exact way as us.
Yeah, I love this episode. This is probably my favorite episode of our podcast. I just think it's so beautiful what we talked about just now.
Mm-hmm. Me too. And it feels good. And I hope that everyone that's listening leaves this podcast feeling lighter than when they entered.
Yeah. And how about that affirmation? Because I know you always give great affirmations.
I have a really great one.
I'm so excited.
Thank you. The affirmation is going to be, I am powerful beyond measure.
Oh, I like that.
Thank you. And when you say it, don't let the fear come in because a lot of times power is connected with, again, I'm going to curse again, being an asshole. And you don't have to be an asshole to be powerful. You can be strong, beautiful, compassionate, and still hold power. Power gives you the opportunity to create. It gives you the opportunity to build a community. It gives you so many different options, and it's not necessarily being taken in that negative way. Use I am powerful beyond measure to be the creator of your life because you deserve it. What are you doing?
I'm writing it on my whiteboard.
I thought you were. I was like, what is she doing?
My chalkboard. I need to move my chalkboard because I have it in like the worst place, like over my desk where I can never reach it. I need to like move it to the side.
Probably move it like that and then put it there.
It's like, yeah. But even like when it's across from me, I'm always like, my handwriting looks atrocious. But I really like to write that down so I see it every day because those are really the affirmations that you give are always so powerful and they always definitely impact my week. So I'm excited to use that because I feel like it's such a great reminder to just remind yourself that you are a powerful co-creator in this crazy, romantic, thrilling, crazy thing called life. So
yeah, definitely. And again, yeah, like how you're saying, it's a great reminder because so many times we feel like we're stuck. So whenever you're feeling stuck, use that affirmation. You could write it on a board just like Julia. You could put it wherever you want. I like to put it on Post-it notes and just leave them around. But yeah, use it and let us know how it goes. And we'll be returning in 2 weeks, which is August 1st. Oh my God. And we'll be talking about the art of acceptance. So it's going to be another really cool topic. And I know that between now and then, Julia and I will have some pretty crazy stories for you to share. And we can't wait to share this space with you all again. Stay tuned for Julia because she is blowing up on social media. So make sure that you follow her at Julia Rose Portela. And she is going to be entering on this spirit speaking circuit. So please pay attention and follow her so you can get all the updates and see where she's going to be and support her and just be able to meet her in real life. She's a really cool person.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And if you're local to Long Island, this Thursday, which is July 21st, I have my Moonlight Meditation, which is a monthly series, and we'll be discussing how to shine bright like a clear quartz crystal. So hope to see you there. You can follow me at I am Brianna Rose, and Julia is Julia Rose Portela. And Julia, anything else you want to say?
No, that's it.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
See you next time.